Alex returns to his home office after a lunch break. He realizes that someone went through his office. Looks like my wife was trying to find something again. How did he figure it out? There's a lipstick mark on this mug. Also, she dropped a pencil on the floor. And this book on the shelf is gone. What's a ghost's favorite dessert? Ice cream. What is it like to be kissed by a vampire? It's a pain in the neck. Who did a ghost go to the party with? Nobody. What image doesn't fit here? The pink one. The rest are the colors of the rainbow. Which flower doesn't belong here? Lotus. It grows in water. Which hand do you think belongs to a millionaire? Choose one of these 4 options. If you choose A, you're brave enough to go against the tide. You are always confident and charismatic. B, you never shirk from your responsibilities and don't waste even a minute. C, you treat your life as a game and enjoy every moment. You're fearless. D, efficiency is your second name. You're a talented and motivated person who always achieves your goal. What doesn't fit here? Nose. The rest exists in pairs. On Monday afternoon, someone destroyed a baking fair at the local school. The furniture and pastries are all over the place. And all cash from the donation box is gone. The principal calls all students and staff for interrogation. One of these students is guilty. Can you guess who? The criminal has lost his watch, and this guy has a tan line where the watch used to be. Suspicious. Bobby goes on a bus trip with his classmates. On the way, he takes a brief nap. Then he wakes up and pulls out his lunchbox. Oh no! Someone took all his food! Bobby interrogates 4 suspects. Shannon says, I was watching stories on my phone. I didn't look around. Xavier says, the view is so stunning. I tried to take pictures from the window, but this stupid glass is too shiny. Bella says, I'm on a gluten-free vegan diet. Why would I need to steal your regular lunch? And Tim says, I think it was Bella. I saw her eating a burger last night, so she's a fake vegan. Who stole Bobby's lunch? Take a look at the pictures taken by Xavier. We can see the thief's reflection in the window. It was Shannon. Noah arrives at a ski resort in the mountains. He sees 4 people in the lobby. Each says, Welcome, I'm the owner of this hotel. Nice to meet you. Only one of them tells the truth. Can you guess who? Only this guy doesn't wear a badge with the hotel logo. Therefore, he's the owner, and the others are his employees. Can you spot a fake musician? This guy, he has no strings. Stanley is a college professor. He's teaching in the class. Suddenly, a paper plane smacks his head. Stanley gets furious and asks, "Who did that?" No one raises their hand, but Stanley figures out who's guilty right away. Can you guess too? Take a look at the color of this guy's notebook. It matches the color of the plane. He's the only one who has such a colorful notebook, so he's the one who pranked Stanley. This Sunday evening, Tina is having the most epic concert in her entire career. But she's very upset because someone stole all her costumes from the dressing room while she was in the toilet. She questions 3 suspects. Dylan, the guitar player, says, "Look, Tina, I know we had some issues in the past, but I would never betray you like this. I'm not a monster." Monica, the backup singer, says, "I haven't even entered the dressing room yet. I got stuck in a traffic jam because many people returned home from work. That was so annoying." And Tyler, Tina's boyfriend, says, "Darling, I've been drinking coffee with friends in the lobby, and I think I saw some glitter from your costume on the floor." Who's lying? Monica. Sunday is a non-working day, so the traffic jam couldn't appear for the reason that she mentioned. Take a look at this picture. Who's the worst friend? This lady stains her friend's outfit with lipstick. Take a look at this picture. Can you spot a time traveler? He's over here. Can you guess which coffee mug will fill up first? The second mug. In fact, it's the only mug that will be filled. Peter wakes up in a dusty broom closet. Now he needs to choose one of these 3 doors to escape. There are 5 angry wolves behind the first door. Behind the second door, there's a tank with ditch water. It's toxic and fatal for any insect. And there's a fire behind the third door. Which way should Peter choose? Peter can use this bucket and collect water from the second room to put out the fire. Nobody said that this water is toxic for humans too. And then he can leave through the third room. Steven is changing a 5-letter password on the office laptop. Now he's the only person who knows the code. Steven decides to challenge his colleague's intelligence and leaves this little clue. Can you figure out the password? It looks like a shopping list, but the number before each word shows which letter you should take away from the word. So the new code is sushi. One Saturday morning, someone robbed a mansion owned by a wealthy old lady, Mrs. Green. The police officer arrives and questions all the suspects. Her husband says, "I was taking a shower." The gardener says, "I was cutting the grass." The butler says, "I was cleaning the swimming pool." And the chef says, "But of course I was cooking dinner." Who's suspicious? The butler. It's not his responsibility to clean the pool. Rose goes hiking and gets lost in the mountains. After a while, she runs out of food and gets really hungry. Rose wanders around and finds 3 options: raspberry bush, canned beans, and a package with bananas left by some tourists. But only one of them is safe to eat. Can you help Rose choose the right food? Raspberries are too risky. There's a huge spider creeping on the branches. And this can is pierced, so the beans are probably rotten. so Rose should choose bananas. They look pretty fresh. Frank works in an open space. She leaves his workplace to have lunch. After a while, he returns and finds out that someone had crashed the screen on his laptop. Frank questions 3 of his coworkers. Jack says, "Sorry, I've been in the toilet. I shouldn't have had that tuna sandwich for lunch." Kitty says, "I've been having a conference call outside the open space." And Lily says, "I was talking to our boss in his office." Can you guess who's guilty? Lily crashed the laptop. Take a look at her trash bin. There's a hammer inside it. Jill works as a nurse at the local hospital. One day, she comes to the room to put each of the patients on a drip. "Don't stand up until I come to change the drips." But when Jill returns, she immediately realizes that one of the patients had stood up. Can you guess who? It's this guy. The phone was in his hand when Jill entered the room for the first time. And now the very same phone is charging on the other side of the room. Therefore, he got up to plug it in. Which house belongs to a zombie? The second one. What number is missing? The first number is the sum of slices of pizza, and the second implies the amount of olives on them. So the missing number is 45. What about these dessert plates? What number is missing here? The first number represents how many different types of food are on the plate, and the second shows how many pieces are on the plate. So the missing number is 38. Hey Brightsiders, how about giving your sharp mind a shake? Then put on your detective hat and listen attentively. One day, Johnson woke up and immediately felt that something was wrong. While sleeping, he somehow turned into a metal robot. Johnson looked around. The place where he woke up seemed to be a dungeon, dark, damp, and very cold. There were 3 corridors leading out of that place. The first passage had a treacherous floor. Some of its panels could collapse, sending people into an abyss. Massive boulders fell from the ceiling of the second corridor every 30 seconds. And the third passage was filled with giant cacti, whose thorns were covered in poison.
Uh-oh.
Which corridor is the safest? Johnson picked the third corridor. Thorns would do no harm to his now metal body, even the ones covered in poison. Mila was locked in a jail cell. It was rather small, with a dirt floor and a small window high above the ground. The only thing she saw was a tiny shovel in the corner. In a couple of hours, Mila managed to break free from the cell. How did she do it? She dug a hole in the floor. Then she made a pile using the soil, climbed on top of it, and escaped through the window. A student failed an important exam, but the professor decided to give him another chance. She said, "If you crack my riddle, I'll let you take the exam again. 2 plus 2 is the same as 2 times 2. Find a set of 3 whole numbers whose sum will be the same as their total when multiplied." The student didn't need much time to figure out the answer. These numbers are 1, 2, and 3. One guy decided to become a scuba diver, but during his first dive, he got dazed and disoriented. He couldn't figure out which way he should swim to get to the surface. Soon, he also noticed he was running out of air. He started panicking. Can you help the poor guy find his way to the surface? He should swim in the directions where bubbles go. Yay! You've saved him. Great job! A unique diamond was on exhibition in a famous museum. It was guarded at all times, and only a small group of 10 people were allowed to enter the room. After one of such groups had left, an alarm went off. The guards ran into the room and found a young man there. When they searched him, they found nothing extraordinary. Just several bills, a lighter, a bottle of soda, a camera, and a smartphone. The guards had to let the man go, but the next morning, it was announced that the diamond had been stolen. How did it happen? The man replaced the real diamond with a fake one and hid the real treasure in his bottle of soda. Emma came to the office on Monday and found out that someone had deleted an important report from her computer. She knew that in the company there were 3 people who would be happy if she lost her job. She decided to question the suspects. Laura, Emma's colleague, said, "I've just arrived. The weather is awful, such a downpour." Thomas, the accountant, answered, "I was out buying coffee and have just returned." And Eliza, a new employee, said, "I had a meeting with a client in a cafe. I've just come back to the office." Who has anything to do with Emma's report? Eliza. Pay attention to the suspect's feet. Thomas and Laura's shoes are wet. They got caught in the rain. But Eliza's high heels are perfectly dry. She must have lied about going out to meet with a client. You wake up and find yourself trapped in a room. There's only a mattress to sleep on, some food, a small knife, a water dispenser, and a large water bottle. It's enough for you to survive for 2 days. There are 3 doors in the room. The corridor behind the first one is filled with toxic gas. Behind the second door, the hall is swarming with venomous snakes. And if you opt for the third door, you'll find yourself in a giant aquarium with hungry sharks. Which door should you choose? Empty the water dispenser and cut its top part with the help of the knife. Then put it over your head so that no air can get inside. Then leave fast enough through the first door. Imagine finding yourself in a room with 4 doors and a deep pit in the middle. Behind the first door, there's a ferocious tiger. The space behind the second door is filled with bubbling lava. The third door prevents poisonous gas from leaking into the room. And the fourth door leads to a tiny storage room with no windows. You have to decide fast how to get out of this trap. You should open the first door. When the tiger jumps at you, you should step aside. The animal will fall into the pit, and you will be able to escape through the first room. Look at poor Amanda. She dozed off during a lecture, and when she woke up, she discovered someone had ruined her hair. Can you figure out who did it? The culprit is the guy on the right. Look, there are scissors sticking out of his pocket. Mickey woke up in a small room without windows. She didn't know how she got there. The girl noticed a door with a combination lock on it. And on the floor next to her, there was a note. Spelled forward were those rodents that terrify you. But what you need is spelled backward. You can't touch it, but you see it at night. What is the password? The rodents the note speaks about are rats. Then the word Mickey needs is star. Now, this riddle might seem kinda cruel, but try not to take it seriously and think outside the box. So, what happens to a person whose whole left side gets cut off? They're all right now. Heh, told you it wasn't too bad. Jack reached the final of a popular game show. Now, if he wanted to get his prize, he had to pass the last challenge. He entered a large hall with 3 cardboard boxes in the center. One of them had white balls inside. The second contained black balls, and the third was filled with black and white balls. The boxes were sealed and labeled, but all the labels were wrong. Jack was allowed to open one box, pick a ball, check its color, and put the ball back into the box. How many times would the man have to repeat this action to label all the boxes correctly? Jack managed to do it after picking just one ball. He chose the box labeled BW, which stood for black and white. Since all labels were wrong, it could be either BB or WW. He pulled out a black ball, so the box was actually BB. Then, logically, Jack figured out the rest of the boxes. Now, let's check how attentive you are. 3 guys were playing hide and seek. One of them hid in the kitchen. Can you help his friends find him? Yep, I don't know how he did it, but he managed to squeeze into the oven. Now, I've got a tricky but fun task for you. I'll be showing you different emoji combinations, and you'll need to figure out what Disney movies they stand for. Let's start with these emojis. What movie is hidden here? Right, it's 101 Dalmatians. The next one for you. That's The Little Mermaid. How about this very popular one? I believe these days there's no person who doesn't know about Frozen. And the last one for you. I admit, this one might have been a bit tough. Have you recognized WALL-E? Margot is an aspiring influencer from New York who has 2,000 followers. The Paris Fashion Week starts next week, and she really wants to get photographed there to help her gain more. But not surprisingly, she's not invited. So, when an extremely popular influencer offers tickets to one of his followers, she immediately jumps at the opportunity. However, she has to answer this riddle correctly to be able to win the ticket. You go in through one hole, you come out through 3 holes. Once you're inside, you're ready to go outside. But once you're outside, you're still inside. What is it? The answer is a t-shirt. Margot first has to buy her plane ticket to Paris to be able to actually attend the fashion show. So, she heads to a travel agency to book it. Since the flight is soon, the plane tickets are so expensive. The travel agent says,
I will give you a discount if you can answer my riddle correctly. 2 siblings with laces always on the floor. Sometimes they're running, and sometimes they do more. What are they?
It's sneakers. Margot must first find herself a chic gown to get ready for the event. So, she heads to the famous shopping avenue. 3 clothing stores grab her attention. Take a look at the displays of each of them. Which one should she pick? Let's take a look at the first store's display. The dresses are super fashionable, but do you see the price tag? It says that this dress is $3,000. That's way too expensive. As for the second store, the sale sign on the window is tempting. But did you notice the mice traps placed on the ground next to the mannequins? That can only mean this store is infested with rodents, and the clothes in there are probably ruined. So she should pick the third store. Margot walks inside and checks out the dresses. She likes 3 of them, but she can't make up her mind on which one to actually get. Can you help her out? Take a closer look at the rhinestones on the neckline of the first dress. One of them seems to have fallen off. It wouldn't look good on her reputation to wear this. And did you notice that the skirt of the third dress is slightly ripped? No one there will see that as a fashion statement. So she should buy the first one. Margot is going to fly in the next morning, so she needs to prepare her suitcase for the trip. However, it seems like she forgot to put 2 important items in it. Can you tell what they are? Do you see the sticky note on the vanity mirror inside her room? Her travel items list is written on it. Most of these items on the list are already placed in her suitcase, but she still needs to pack her shoes and her makeup bag. Margot looks around the room, but she can't find both of these items. Can you spot where they are? Her shoes are under her bed, and her makeup bag is behind the pillows on the couch. The next morning, Margot arrives at the airport to catch her flight. When she checks the departures board to figure out which gate to walk to, she sees that there are 3 different Paris flights departing all at the same time from different gates. Can you tell which gate number belongs to her flight? Did you notice the clue in the video that will help you figure this out? Let's rewind the video back to when Margot went to the travel agency. Do you see the sign that says, "We work with La Baguette Airlines"? So, Margot's ticket is from the same airline. And let's take a look at the departures board again. There's only one Paris flight that belongs to La Baguette Airlines, and it will be departing from gate number 5. During the flight attendant starts serving meals to the passengers. However, Margot realizes that she forgot to book the burger option in advance, so she's served the vegetable stir-fry instead. Seeing her so disappointed, the passenger next to her offers to trade his burger with her stir-fry if only she can answer his riddle. Throw it off the highest building and it will not break. Put it in the ocean and it will. What is it? The answer is a tissue. After a tiring flight, Margot arrives in Paris and finds her hotel. The hotel manager comes next to her and informs her that his employee gave the room she booked to someone else by mistake. However, to make it up to her, he takes her to 3 different rooms and says she can choose the one she wants to stay in. Which one should that be? Take a look at the pillowcases inside the first room. They have dirty brown spots on them. Yikes, that's a pass. And take a look at the temperature on the wall of the third room. It's kinda higher than normal room temperature. Seems like the air conditioner there is not working, so she should pick the second room. It's finally the day of the fashion show. But oh no, Margot forgot to bring her hair tools. So she urgently needs to find a hairstylist. She searches for the closest ones to her hotel from her phone and finds 3 hair salons near the area. Which one should she pick? Do you see the hairstylist working in the first hair salon? Her hair looks really messy, so she probably won't be able to give Margot the hairstyle she wants. The third hair salon looks really clean, but did you notice the 2-star rating it had when Margot Googled it? So it wouldn't be the safest option as well. Then, Margot should choose the second hair salon. After her hair is done, Margot heads to the venue to meet the popular influencer and get her ticket from him. Then, the popular influencer says that one of the models is a really close friend of his, so he can also take her backstage to have lunch with them if she wants. Margot excitedly accepts his offer. When she walks in, she sees that 3 people are sitting around the dining table. However, one of those is not actually a real model. Can you tell who? It's the girl in the middle. Did you notice that her bag is filled with food? The real models there don't need to save food for later. The fashion show begins, and Margot starts checking out the designer's new collection. However, when 3 models are walking the runway at the same time, she realizes that a scandal is right around the corner. Why is that? Take a closer look at each of the designs the models are wearing. Although this is a Dolce & Gabbana show, one of the dresses belongs to a different designer. The belt on it says Alexander McKing. After the scandalous fashion show ends, the popular influencer invites Margot to the after party and gives her the time and address details. Margot arrives at the club, but a bodyguard stops her. He says only those with the password can enter. When Margot tells him that she doesn't know the password, but was invited by the popular influencer, the bodyguard decides to give her a hint. 1 strand dangles, 2 strands twist. 3 or more can fashion this. Can you tell me what this is? It's braids. Margot enters the club and finds the popular influencer. He says, "Here you are! I was just looking at the posts of these 2 new influencers," and shows her his phone. "One of these is a millionaire, but the other one is just pretending to be rich. Yet, I can't figure out who is who. Can't you help me out?" Take a closer look at the second photo, and you can see a blurry watermark in the background. That means the second influencer photoshopped herself into a stock picture. So, she's the fake one. Hey, ready for some Valentine's Day riddles? Look at these 3 guys. Which of them is going on a date tonight?
Hello.
It must be this one. He has a little wrapped present, probably for his date.
Aww.
Now let's peek inside a restaurant. Which of the 3 girls is on a date? It's this one. Look, there are roses and 2 sets of dishes on the table. So she's not alone, and it's something romantic. My money is on her. This is Allison, and one of these 3 young men is her boyfriend. Can you tell who? It's this one. Look, they have matching tattoos. Take a look at these 2 proposals. Which one of them is fake? This one. Look, the guy has a ring. He's clearly already married. It was Friday evening, and Mark was waiting for his girlfriend to get back from work. He prepared dinner and was about to propose. His girlfriend came back home with flowers. Do you think she was on a date with someone? No, she wasn't. Look outside. The same flowers grow in their garden. She just picked some before entering the house. On Valentine's Day, Annika found a love note on her desk. Unfortunately, the note wasn't signed, but she had 3 suspects. So she asked each of them if they had written her a note. Dylan said, "I was busy finishing my math homework before class." Connor said, "I was hanging out with my buddies outside." And Luke said, "I was in the bathroom and I just returned." Who wrote Annika the letter? It was Luke. Look, his hands are covered in red ink. That's the color used in the letter. Also, if he had really been to the bathroom, his hands would be clean. On Valentine's Day, Jess found a note in her locker. But the note was weird. It was just a sequence of random letters. Or was it some code? Can you help Jess read the note and figure out who sent it to her? Of course it's a code. Look, there are 5 groups of letters with 5 letters in each group. Let's put them into a 5x5 table. And now, we need to read this vertically, column by column. Will you go out with me, Colton? So where's that Colton? Michelle was hosting a Valentine's Day party. She invited all her school friends, and everyone was allowed to bring a +1. Either their significant other or a single friend. In the middle of the party, she noticed that her cousin was in the garden talking to some girl, but it was dark and she couldn't tell which girl it was. She just saw that the girl had long hair. When her cousin returned, she knew immediately who he was interested in. Here are 3 girls with long hair. Who was outside with Michelle's cousin? Look, Michelle's cousin has a lipstick stain. The girl must have left it, and this girl right here is wearing lipstick of the same shade. On a cold, rainy night, Damon was driving past a bus stop. There were 3 people there waiting for their bus. An elderly lady who looked sick, a doctor who had saved many lives, and Addison, a girl Damon had a crush on for years. Unfortunately, there was only room for 1 more person in his car. What should Damon do? He should give his car to the doctor, who would then take the lady to the hospital. And Damon can stay at the bus stop waiting for the bus with the girl of his dreams. Looking like a hero in her eyes.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break now. Have you seen any romantic movies? Well, I hope so, because I'll be showing you some emojis, and your task will be to guess what romantic movie they stand for. Okay, here's the first, very easy one. Of course, that's Titanic. Here's the next one. Nothing much, but it should be clear. Do you know this movie? It's The Notebook. What about this one? A relatively recent remake was a great success. Can you recognize it? It's A Star Is Born. Here's the next one. Do you think you can guess it right? It's Before Sunrise. The next set of emojis illustrates another very well-known love story. Can you guess it right? It's La La Land, of course. Here's the last one. It's an oldie but a goodie. What do you think? Everyone's favorite, The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey. It was Valentine's Day, and Nicole wanted to put a little present in the locker of the student she had a crush on. Unfortunately, she didn't know the code. Luckily for her, the owner of the locker was forgetful too, so there was a note with a hint. Can you figure out the combination? Each number is the number of lines in the respective letter. There is just one line in I, 4 lines in M, 3 in H, and 2 in T. So, following the same logic, there are 4 lines in E, 2 in L, 2 in V, and 3 in Z. So the combination is 4, 2, 2, 3. Okay, here's another code for you to crack. This time, you need to help Eric. He wants to get his wife a nice Valentine's Day gift, but he is absolutely clueless about what she wants. So, the plan is to break into her computer, check her shopping cart, and get something from there. The problem is that the computer requires a passcode, and the man doesn't know it. Luckily, there's a note on the desk, so he types in 6198. But the passcode is wrong. Can you figure out what the correct passcode is? The note is just turned upside down. Eric should try typing in 8619 instead. Kennedy works in the emergency room. It's Valentine's Day and there's a patient who felt unwell during a college party. Kennedy leaves the room because she needs to talk to the patient's girlfriend. She was at the party with him. Which young woman should she approach? Who is the guy's date? Keep in mind that the couple was at a party, so they must be dressed nicely. The patient's date is most likely this woman in a pretty dress. Now, let's do some exercises to train your eyes. Here's a bunch of hearts. Can you find one broken heart? Yes, here it is. Good job. The task is similar, but not quite. Now there are many hearts and a few broken hearts. How many broken hearts are there? There are 5 broken hearts here. Have you found them all? Kelsey came to an antique store to get some presents for her boyfriend for Valentine's Day. She needed a baseball cap for him, an antique pocket watch, and a toy car from the 1920s. Can you help her find all these items for her boyfriend? Here's the cap, here's the watch, and here's the car. Have you spotted them all? Mark, the boyfriend, is getting presents for Kelsey in the same antique store. He needs to find a pretty cup, an antique mirror, and a beautiful photo album. He needs some help too, so keep your eyes wide open. Do you see all these items? Here they all are. 1, 2, and 3. Great job! It's a Valentine's Day party, and Melody, the most popular girl in school, is hosting it. 4 best friends are standing together, and one of them is Melody's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
You ask them who the boyfriend is, and here's what they say. The first guy says, "The fourth one is the boyfriend." The second guy says, "It's me." The third one claims, "No, it's the first guy." And the fourth one says,
No, it's actually me.
if only the boyfriend tells the truth and the other guys lie, who is Melody's boyfriend? Only the boyfriend tells the truth, so he will say, "I'm the boyfriend." So it's either the second guy or the fourth one. But if the boyfriend is the fourth guy, then the first one is telling the truth too. So, Melody's boyfriend is the second guy. The owner of the restaurant, Vegan Paradise, called the police. "Someone has attacked our chef. He was taken to a hospital several minutes ago. My rivals must have sent someone to ruin my business." When police officers came to the restaurant, they found out that 3 people had been in the staff area during the accident. The first cook was cutting onions when the chef was hurt. He told the police that tears had blurred his vision and he hadn't seen anything. The second cook was peeling shrimps when the accident happened. He said that he had been listening to music through his earphones, and he hadn't heard anything. The third person, a waitress, claimed she had been serving lemonade outside. Who's lying? The second cook attacked the chef. There can't be shrimps in a vegan restaurant. Eric was having lunch in a cafe. At one point, he went to the bathroom and left his smartphone on the table. When he came back, the phone was missing. Eric saw a man leaving the place and ran after him. Eric stopped him when the man was about to sit in a car and asked him to return the gadget, but the man claimed to know nothing about the phone. He said that he had just given his friends a lift to work, and he pointed at 2 men entering an office building. After hearing this, Eric immediately called the police. Why? The man lied. His car is a sports convertible with just 2 seats. It can't fit 3 men. The police got a call from the house of a wealthy man who didn't come back after going for a jog. When several officers arrived, they questioned the maid, the millionaire's wife, and his driver. The maid said, "When Mr. Jones went for a jog, he asked me to prepare his breakfast, and I immediately got down to work. But it's been 3 hours, and he hasn't returned yet." The wife was worried too. "I saw him in the morning, but he was in a hurry. We just greeted each other and I went to work." The driver told the police he'd been waiting for his boss in the car, looking through his social media. Who knows something about the millionaire's disappearance? The maid's lying. If she had cut the apples for breakfast 3 hours ago, they would have turned brown by now. Now, look at poor Dwight. Someone has pulled a paint bucket prank on him. Look at his colleagues and try to figure out who it was. It was definitely Jim. Look at his pants. There are paint stains there. Now, look at these girls. Who's going to be the first to escape? It's going to be the first girl. She's got long, beautiful nails. She's bound to have a file to look after them. It can help her cut the rope. One of these people on the train is hiding some treasure. Who can it be? It's this woman. She pretends to be pregnant, but her belly is suspiciously square. Look at these 2 girls. Who will be the first to escape? The one on the right. She hasn't touched her food because she uses her spoon to dig a tunnel. The girl on the right has managed to escape, but the tunnel splits into 2 smaller ones. One is swarming with snakes, and in the other, a fire is raging. What should she do? She should dig another tunnel above these 2. She's got her spoon after all. David was a famous antique dealer in his town, but there were loads of people who envied him. The man had a beautiful young daughter called Liza. One evening, When the antiquarian was busy in his workshop, his phone rang. A man told him that they had David's daughter. If he wanted to see her again, he had to give his jewelry collection to the man waiting at the doors. David requested to talk to his daughter. He asked her just one question. "I have 2 hands, but I can't scratch myself. What am I?" When David heard no answer, he said, "It's not my daughter," and hung up. What's the answer to this riddle? Liza would know that her father was talking about a clock. It took 9 years to build the world's tallest skyscraper. Every next year, the builders managed to double its height. How many years did it take the skyscraper to reach half of its maximum height? Eight years. If the constructors doubled the building's height every year, the skyscraper was half of its final height a year before it was completed. Divide 30 by 1/2 and add 10. What will you get? The correct answer is 70. Most people divide 30 by 2, add 10, and get 25. But when you divide a number by a fraction, you should actually multiply it by the denominator, which is the number below the line. This way, 30 times 2 plus 10 equals 70. You find yourself in the middle of a forest with 3 paths in front of you. The first one is covered with burning hot coals. The second path is so cold that it feels like Antarctica right under your feet. And the third path is covered with sharp nails. Which path should you choose? The second path. All that ice is bound to be gone soon. It's too close to the hot coals. The police were looking for Kyle for 2 days. The guy went hiking and never came back. Finally, he was found. Someone had hit him on the head and left him lying in the bushes. Kyle only managed to say, "Friend," and lost consciousness. The police officers had 3 suspects, all of them Kyle's friends. Zachary said he'd spent these last days at work getting ready for a conference. Jeremy told the detectives he sprained his ankle and had been in bed for 4 days. And Billy explained he'd been to New York for business. He even showed the police officers his boarding pass. Who's responsible for the accident with Kyle? Billy showed the police just 1 boarding pass. Then how did he get back from New York? His story sounds fishy. Jordan was very late for a job interview, but when he drove up to the office building, he found out there were no free parking spaces. He decided to leave his car a bit further from the entrance. Oh no, even though there were several other vehicles in that area, parking was prohibited there. Luckily, Jordan came up with an idea and didn't get fined. What did he do? He took a parking ticket from another car and put it on his windshield. It looked as if he'd already been fined. Hey, I didn't say it was an honest solution. That day, famous chef Logan was going to have some very important guests in his restaurant. He was anxious because his future depended on how they would appreciate his food. Everything had to be perfect. There was only 1 hour left before the guests were supposed to arrive. And that's when Logan discovered someone had left ugly red handprints on his sparkling white jacket. He examined the stains. It was ketchup. Logan knew that some of the cooks didn't like him. Look at them and tried to help the chef figure out who's guilty. There's a pair of gloves stained with something red in the trash can. The only person who isn't wearing any gloves is the cook on the left. He was the one to spoil Logan's uniform. Linda was in a cafe with her boyfriend, and their date wasn't going very well. At one point, they both got angry and started to argue. Suddenly, their waiter came up to the table and handed something to Linda. It was a note with a strangely written word. Lowercase t, uppercase r, lowercase o, uppercase u, lowercase b, lowercase l, lowercase e. Trouble? Linda was confused. What could it mean? Can you figure it out? It's a rebus puzzle. The waiter got worried and asked Linda, "Are you in trouble?" Amber's husband, Carl, is an artist. Can you guess which one of these ladies is Amber? It's the lady in the middle. She has the same paint stains on her clothes as Carl has on his jeans. Carl gets an invitation to visit a mysterious fortune teller, Morgana. She has built a maze so that only smart people could reach her house. Which one of these routes should Carl choose? Only the first path will take him to the final destination. Morgana treats Carl with a welcome drink. Only one of these 3 drinks is safe. Can you guess which one? The first drink. There's a human tooth inside the second glass, and there are too many flies around the third drink, so it's probably not fresh. Morgana says,
"I've got a surprise for you. People put it on the table but never eat it. What is it?"
"Can you guess?" The correct answer is a pack of cards. Carl gets his brand new pack of cards. Morgana offers him a mind game. From the pack of 52 cards, she places 4 cards on the table face down and gives Carl 4 clues about the card. Card on the left cannot be greater than the card on the right. The difference between the first card and the third card is 8. There's no single ace among these 4 cards. Also, there are no face cards. And finally, the difference between the second and the fourth card is 7. Can you help Carl guess the values of all 4 cards? Alright, let's put everything on the table. The task was to guess the value, so we can pay no attention to the suits. The first card has to be 2, and the third card has to be 10. There's simply no other way the difference can be 8. The first and the fourth clues reveal that the fourth card can only be 10. And, thanks to clue 5, we know that the second card amounts to 3. So here's the correct answer. Carl successfully solves the riddle. Morgana is impressed. She says,
"Now that I see you deserve my gift, I will give you a magic amulet that will turn you into the richest artist. These 3 tunnels lead to the room where the treasure is hidden. You must choose wisely if you want to stay safe."
There's a rhino cuddling her calves in the first tunnel. The second tunnel is filled with gas, which is fatal for any insect. There are thousands of venomous snakes crawling around the third tunnel. Which way is more or less safe? The second one. Nobody said that the gas is dangerous for humans. The next day, Carl feels sick and goes to the hospital. He meets these 3 women in the lobby. Can you find a doctor's wife among them? Take a look at the poster. This doctor is a dentist. The first lady is his patient. And the third one is his colleague, so the second lady is his wife. 3 doctors approach Carl, but one of them is fake. Can you guess who? Take a look at this guy's badge. There's a female picture and a name on it, so he's probably an imposter. The doctor invites Carl to his lab. Can you help him find these 3 items? Here they are. In the evening, Carl arrives home. He spots 5 weird things about this place right away. Can you see them too? The house number is hanging upside down. This raccoon is talking on a cell phone. The bicycle is moving without a rider. This lantern doesn't have a lamppost and floats in the air by itself. And finally, these flowers in the garden are blooming in the middle of winter. Carl enters his house. Surprise! His friends prepared a secret party for his birthday. Everything goes well, but suddenly the lights turn off for 30 seconds. When the power is back again, Carl sees that someone has sneaked his lucky amulet from his neck. He questions 3 suspects. Rick says, "I was cooking snacks in the kitchen. The light turned off so suddenly." Bella says, "I was in the middle of a chess game when the power turned off." And Ren says, "I've been dancing in the living room for the last 30 minutes and the dark didn't stop me." Who's lying? Bella. She said she was in the middle of her game, but all chess pieces are standing in their initial positions. Bella escapes with the amulet and flies away to Seychelles with her boyfriend Josh. Can you guess which one of these guys is Josh? The second guy. He's lying on her beach wrap. Bella is watching a boxing match on TV. It's a friendly match between 2 heavyweights, which consists of 12 rounds, but it was finished after the 7th round because the boxer knocked out the other one. But during the match, no man threw even a single punch. How can this be possible? Easy. It was between 2 female boxers. In the hotel, Bella has only 3 neighbors on her floor. One of them is turning into a zombie. Can you guess who? This lady. It's hot. Why is she wearing a warm scarf? Bella leaves her hotel room to get some ice. 2 minutes later, she returns and finds out that someone had broken in. How did she know? When she was leaving, the balcony door was opened and now it's locked. It was Carl who robbed Bella. He just took back his amulet and ran away to the roof. Unfortunately, now he's trapped on the roof of the hotel building. It's 200 feet high. There's a hook on the roof and another hook 100 feet down from it. Carl finds a 150-foot-long rope and a sharp knife. How can he climb down safely? Carl should cut the rope into 2 parts, 50 and 100 feet. Then make a knot at the end of the shorter rope and put the longer one through it. Then he should slide down the ropes and untie the longer rope to be able to use it again with the second hook. Carl uses his lucky amulet and his art becomes super famous. One day, he receives a phone call from the police. They arrested a group of criminals who tried to sell illegal copies of Carl's artwork. They confiscated 3 paintings. Carl said that one of them is original. Can you guess which one? The first painting is a mirrored version of the original work. The second one has a barely visible handprint. Therefore, only the third painting is original. Carl exhibits a huge collage in a gallery. Can you spot any outstanding images? This guy over here. Carl goes to the gym for a morning workout. He sees something weird and freaks out. Can you spot what's wrong? A huge spider is crawling out of the ventilation. Carl puts his bags in a locker before going to the gym shower. He locks it and takes the key with him. He hangs the key on a hook together with his towel. After bathing, Carl finds out that someone had stolen the key and robbed his locker. He questions 3 suspects, but all of them say they were taking a shower and didn't see anything. Who is lying? The third guy. Take a look at his feet. They're too dirty for a man who has just taken a shower.